Hola and welcome to Vida Consciente, the bilingual podcast where we explore mindful living and conscious lifestyles to heal and transform from the inside out in both English and Spanish. I am your host, Alejandra Aguilera, and I want to thank you again for being part of this community. I hope you enjoy today's episode. And welcome again to Vida Consciente. My name is Alejandra Aguilera, and I want to thank you for, like always I say, being part of this community where we talk about self-awareness, mindfulness, meditation, and just to how to get to know ourselves better so we can start transforming and change our life from the inside out. And today episode, I have a guest, and I really enjoy like talking to her because I think I know Kelly for about like 2 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about something really important for all of women listening out there because I think this is a topic that we don't get a lot of education on this. And once we get to know more about this, it's like learning to know more about our body, connecting with ourselves and what is happening, getting to know the ups and downs. And we're going to be talking because she talks and works a lot about this and is understanding woman's cycle, the menstruation, so why we feel different certain time of the month and why maybe one day we have more energy than the other. So Kelly is going to talk about all the different like changes in the woman's cycle. But before we dig into this, I want to introduce Kelly. Like I want you to get to know, let people, who is Kelly and what do you do? Tell us a little bit more about you, Kelly. And thank you
Oh,
again.
thank you. My name's Kelly, and I live here in Kennett. I'm a registered nurse. That's my first degree, my first line of study. And coming through nursing school, I was just noticing that all of a sudden I was having really bad menstrual cramps. I was having cystic acne so deep and so swollen on my face I couldn't eat because I'd be trying to chew food and I'd be chewing the inside of cysts. So painful. And so my mother got me connected with a naturopath in our area. And my exact words to her were, "That doesn't work. I'm in nursing school. That's voodoo." I did not believe her that it could help me. And I went through a 6-month-long healing process, and I got to learn my menstrual cycle inside and out. And at the end of those 6 months, I was just so empowered with the knowledge, understanding my symptoms. I didn't feel scared anymore when if I start to get a pimple or something. It wasn't like it wasn't a bracing against it. It was like, okay, I know how to bring myself back into balance. So that got me really stoked on menstrual cycle health as a whole. And then I graduated nursing school, went back to school for herbal medicine, and my path took many weaves and turns. But in short, where I am today, I live on a half acre of gardens, gardening to heal the soil and to bring biodiversity back into our area is a passion of mine. And all the plants that I garden, I then use when I work with women for their menstrual cycle work. So I'm a menstrual cycle coach, and then I also work with horses. That line of work at the moment is a little bit more tailored to serving women who have experienced human trafficking. So we combine therapeutic gardening with somatic work really to tap into the wisdom and the healing held within our bodies. And then horses, because horses just bring a whole new and more powerful dynamic to that inner insight. And that's my brief story, to the best of my ability.
Well, that is amazing because one of the things that I like when I invite people and then listen to others is it's your own story. It's like something that happening to you is what take you to initiate something different in your life. Like you mentioned before, like you didn't fully believe on this until you experience and give it a try. And now is your passion, is your joy, and then it's how you combine your nursing with your holistic practice, and it gives you that inner joy that you feel like I'm healing myself, but I also be able to heal others through my own experience.
Yes.
And that's amazing because it's like it's the same like how everything that was made. Like my own experience is what has been helping me to do what I'm doing right now, combining that with my physical therapy practice, and then the change that I see in me, I know I can see the change in somebody else.
Yes.
So amazing what you shared this. So I have a few questions that I write down here because I was like, I don't want to miss anything. And I know you do a little bit of everything. So I wrote all this down because I was not even aware like how we connect with our menstrual cycle. Like, sometimes we see this as a negative thing. It's like,
Mm.
I don't want to have my period. Like, I want to get rid of that. But when we understand that how important is this as a part of ourselves as a woman, our perception start changing, and we see this now like we embrace it in a different way, and it's beautiful to get to know that. So my first question for you is, can you explain to us the different phases of the menstrual cycle and how typically, like how they affect women emotionally and physically?
Yes, I love that. So good. I love too what you said about just how when we connect to our menstrual cycle, it goes from something to maybe cover up or something we dread coming because it puts an inconvenience, quotation marks, on this linear track of life that just our societal norms have taught us is normal. And what we're growing up being taught is normal also typically feels safe. So it feels very safe to just keep on going. And there's kind of multiple layers to that. But one of the reasons why that feels so safe, because if we just keep going, if we just keep pushing, chances are there's not a lot of room and space in our lives to stop, to feel what's going on and the subtleties of our layers. And then,
and to be okay with that.
And be okay with that and derive insight from that and personal direction. So when we work with the menstrual cycle, the first quote unquote season or phase, the menstrual cycle starts on day 1 of our bleed. And that's pretty much the very first day that we are then, if we're going out and about, looking to maybe use products at that point. I personally love to free bleed when I can, which would look like having the day completely to myself and just be in the garden and just going. And it feels beautiful and just so wild.
Yes.
But I also do, have commitments or travel and in weddings. And so that's when you're looking, when you then work with like menstrual pads or Diva Cup, working with regular pads or tampons, which is like, of course, no downfall or any sort of way. But it's really good to take note that those products are usually very toxic to the female body.
Yes.
And to the earth. But they're faster, right? It's just take off, put in, throw away. Menstrual pads and cups tend to involve a little bit more physically, like removing the cup from your...
Exactly, I know.
Yes. And then working with that blood. So it's a little bit messier, but so is life as a whole. And so that's menstruation. And during that time, what's essentially happening is all our hormones have plummeted. And when our hormones plummet after ovulation and then the luteal phase and all that uterine lining starts to shed away, is what's happening is we're losing essentially all that hormonal support. And so we might feel very tired. This is a good time too to notice, am I feeling tired almost in like a gentle, nourishing way, or am I feeling exhausted? I have nothing left. Please don't engage me in anything.
Okay.
Both are valid, but pretty much how we're feeling during menstruation is really a mirror back into how resourced we were leading up to the cycle. So did we take care of ourselves throughout a whole cycle? We completely depleted. I could like to compare menstruation to like a winter wood.
Yes, I was about to ask you about that because I hear that it's like the winter, like just be with yourself, connect with yourself, tune with your emotions, correct?
Yes, tune with your emotions. If you think about winter too, like having the insulation. So do we have the insulation to, be quiet, be still, be feeling frazzled, feeling frayed? It's a really good indication as to the health of our nervous system as a whole.
And let me ask you this really quick because you say this is the winter phase when we're in the process of the bleeding. Like for me, for example, one of the things that happens, I become really emotional. And sometimes I feel like I want to cry, which I feel is okay. I have been learning that cry is how I clean also my soul. Sometimes I feel like I want to start writing down, like journaling. So, and I think that is a normal part of the process. That is like a helping to getting to know ourselves and don't feel bad because like why I don't feel like I want to go out? Why I don't feel like why I feel sometimes like so moody? That's the other thing like happened when we are in this process. Like we can feel a little bit moody, and that can affect sometimes a relationship with our partners, with our kids, with friends, because wait, this is a normal part of me. This is, I think, that's something normal we need to understand.
Yes, I love it too. As you said, it's all really good input. It's good, just as you said, journaling, just kind of tracking our moods throughout our cycle can give really good insight. But even if we think about, so culturally, women used to, across all cultures, from like the Christian Hebrew faith to more pagan faiths of like the Celtic area to South America, like women would separate themselves during their bleed. And there was this understanding and this honor that our bodies during this time are not being resourced to participate in the linear structure of society. And it's really gorgeous. I love what you said too about partners. It's really gorgeous even to bring.
Hi everyone, this is Alejandra Aguilera from Vida Consciente, and I have an exciting news to share with all of you. You know how much I love to talk about mindfulness, meditation, and self-awareness, but sometimes we don't know where to start or how to introduce this amazing practice into your life. And I have the perfect solution for all of you, and it's mindfulness.com. Mindfulness.com is the perfect app where you can find everything in one place. Guided meditations, different mindfulness exercise, guided by experts. It's like having a mindfulness coach with you everywhere. They have been changing the life of a lot of people, including my own life. And since I started using this app, I've been able to get to know more about what is mindfulness, how to meditate, and start changing and introducing this in my day by day. And that is what I'm sharing this with you. You can give it a try this for free. And how you get there? If you go to the description of each one of my episodes, you're going to find a link. And by clicking into that link, it's going to take you directly to the app, mindfulness.com. Just give it a try and check it out, all the different exercise and plans that they have. You can start changing your life from the inside out. And if you help me, it's definitely going to help and transform your life. Check it out, mindfulness.com. Click in the link in the description of my episode and just start now changing your life and getting to know more about yourself and being more mindful. Now we're going back to the episode.
Our partners into this conversation, especially when in like a heterosexual relationship. And this can build such intimacy because if we're bleeding, we're less likely, I can't speak for everyone, but if we're feeling crampy, if we're feeling a little bit of like, okay, I want space, chances are there's not physical intimacy coming on. So that's a really beautiful way to, me and my partner love to gaze. So just like sit with each other, like eye gaze. But also just like even during that time of the cycle, like voicing like, okay, maybe I would feel so cared for to receive tending to during this time. But that also means when during ovulation, when we have more of that energy, we get to then really love up on our partner and serve their needs. So it really just gives this context and this structure to kind of even engage these conversations that perhaps can go glazed over during a busy life without any pause. But because the menstrual cycle is a built-in pause, there's space to feel what we're feeling, what you said, take inventory of what we're feeling, whether that's a need that perhaps we're needing, a boundary that we need establishing, or even just feeling reality. I think especially with women, there's such an intimate connection between women and the earth. And our earth is experiencing a lot of constriction right now.
That's true.
And so I don't think it's like I have people I work with, friends, clients, just being like, I am so sad without a cause. And I'm like, we can be in that sadness. There's a lot to feel being part of the human web, the life web on this earth.
Exactly. And important that you say that because it's like those days that you are in this periods of like, bleeding, you can have the opportunity to, even if you have a partner, to improve the communication, to do something different. And I think, I don't know, maybe you can correct me. Is this a good time when women are in this phase to connect even more with nature, to be outside?
I'm all for connecting with nature every day as much as you can.
Well, yeah.
But yes, this would be a very beautiful time, especially because it's kind of this idea that our world in the spiritual realm, or our world and the consciousness of nature, is thinned. It's quieted. If we want to think about winter, earthly winter of life, even it's death, it's mortality, and whether that's rebirth into the spiritual realm, when we do our final transformation, or if it's the season of winter, it's, like when autumn's becoming winter, like there's a sensation that arises, and it's
Yes.
almost like a prickling on the back of your neck, and it's like everything feels really close. And that's another beautiful, I think sometimes when emotions just arise, it's like we're so connected with the tenderness of the earth. And I believe the earth is a direct connection to God. I believe the earth is almost like a womb of God. So we're
Yes.
so connected to that heartbeat of God, to the heartbeat of the earth. Like tears aren't always a sorrowful thing. Sometimes they're really tender and they're
Yes.
really beautiful, and they're just like an expression of awe. So yes, I think during this time, as much as you can, like barefoot in the woods, swim in some water. Menstruation is also the season of water as a whole. So being connected with water in any way that we can, drinking warm teas,
Yeah, like just be with yourself. Don't don't
be with
don't
yourself.
don't don't rush the process.
Yes.
Don't push the process. Just enjoy that day. And now, what comes after the winter phase? What comes after that?
Mhm.
How or how will start changing? Because I noticed like a oh, my energy is coming back again.
Yes.
What comes?
So after menstruation, so it actually begins about halfway through menstruation. It's called our
Mm-hmm.
follicular phase.
Mm-hmm.
And our follicular phase is the follicular phase because our follicles and our ovaries are beginning to wake up. And they're responding to a rise in the hormone FSH,
Okay.
follicular stimulating hormone. And essentially what's happening is that hormone is stimulating follicles in the ovaries to begin to develop. And as these follicles begin to develop, they're releasing estrogen.
Mm.
So estrogen and testosterone go hand in hand here from follicular phase all the way leading up to ovulation.
Mm-hmm.
They're rising together. So you
Okay.
have the energy and the libido of testosterone going on, as
Going up.
well as the energetic support of estrogen. So it's why perhaps we might feel a bit more creative, a little bit more playful, feel
Yes.
that energy start coming back during this time. And it's really good too to even, if you're interested in tracking like your cervical mucus, it's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting because you'll start to see your cervical mucus kind of going from, so it's different for everyone. The
Yes.
way they explain it is kind of like cottage cheese, like thick and clumpy
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the follicular phase, and then coming like stretchy, and they say egg white. I would
Okay.
say it looks different for every woman. So by tracking your cycle, you'll understand what your cervical mucus
Yes.
looks like when you're going towards fertility. But that's even really gorgeous too, because so working with our menstrual cycle is a really powerful way we can understand our fertility.
So
And
this
so
will be like the spring phase, like we are coming into the spring,
this brain, oh yes,
the
sorry.
spring.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I notice on myself, you say, I start feeling with more energy and more creative. Oh my God, I have this idea. Let me just start
Yeah.
writing down ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just, I feel like I want to take actions now. I want to start
Mm-hmm.
taking actions. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct? Is that what happened in this phase?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say you're feeling is 100% accurate. But yes, that's typically what comes through for women, or what women say is
Okay.
this idea of creativity, this idea of rejuvenation. Springtime is a rebirth.
Mm.
So if we want to think about growing upwards, so menstruation is a really good time to receive.
Mm-hmm.
I work with my menstrual cycle for working with my business, what I'm going to educate on, what posts I'm going to create, what offers I'm going to put out there. And so the stillness of menstruation is this time to receive. And I love it too, because the menstrual cycle, when we work with her in this way, then our projects, our callings aren't necessarily our burden. It's not something we have
Mm-hmm.
to force into being, it's something we receive. So receiving during menstruation and creating the time for that, and going into the body, releasing any
Yes.
tension, unblocking. And then during the spring phase, beginning to plan and take action towards.
Oh, plan.
So
Good.
working with that energy, it's a really good time to like be out in the world if you're feeling that very like spring like energy. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably you want to be around people. So that's probably a good time to plan your networking, your
Yes.
on screen time, and then allowing the quieter seasons to be quiet, which would be the luteal phase of menstruation.
That's true. That. And since I start understanding this more better, I'm respecting these different phases. I'm taking my time to wait until I feel this to just take some certain actions.
Yes.
Good. And now, what comes next?
So then after that would be ovulation.
Okay.
So ovulation is the peak of the menstrual cycle almost. It's when FSH, now you have a surge in LH, which is called a luteinizing hormone, and that stimulates the release of the egg from the follicle, from the ovaries, and then the egg is passed into the womb. And so ovulation itself only lasts 12 to 24 hours, which is pretty small. I also love to reflect on the fact that it is a reflection that we're not meant to live in the sun energy forever. It's
Okay.
The sun energy is something that, you know, we tend to chase as a society, and the entertainment, the eternal youth, you know, always having something going on. In reality, ovulation is only that sun energy is the shortest phase. That being said, because the follicular phase is this build up to ovulation, chances are you're going to feel that sunny summertime lively energy for more than just
like even
24 hours.
You feel your skin. You feel your skin shiny.
Yes.
I noticed that like my hair looks different. I look like I feel prettier. I don't feel like my hair is dry. So all the physicals, like what is happening inside our body, is projecting also in our physical appearance.
Yes. Oh yeah. Your hair thickens, your skin thickens. It's people almost equate it to like the glow that you get when you're pregnant.
The glow. That's the word.
Yes,
the glow.
yes.
Exactly. The eyes. You see that your eyes like a beautiful light. I don't know. It's different. It's different. Those faces.
Yeah. And if you want to think about too, that biologically our bodies are telling the external world, telling potential partners, I'm fertile. So, you know, very much like birds and all the insects and animals have their courting dances, like our bodies are also conveying to potential partners, to potential, the father of offspring, like, hey, I'm ready to procreate, for lack of.
And it's so amazing that getting to know this is like how we as a human, we are connected with even the different seasons, like all this winter, spring, fall, and summer. It's like and one thing that I have noticed, and I don't know if you can maybe add something about this, but I also noticed that our menstrual, like our cycle, also have something with the moon phases.
Yes. Yes.
Because I noticed the change, like when we sing a full moon, with a new moon, I can tell that difference. Is that something related?
Yes. So, once again, everyone's cycle probably lines up differently with the phase of a moon. But so the different phases in menstrual cycle, menstruation, follicular phase, ovulation, luteal phase, have been connected through teachings with seasons and moon phases. So menstruation and elements. So we can just go through them briefly. That might be helpful.
Yes.
So menstruation is connected with the dark moon, the new moon, that phase, and with the season of winter and the element of water. So this time of darkness, rest. Water is associated with spiritual rebirth. So time for rebirth and cleansing of the old and ready for the new. Then the follicular phase is correlated with the waxing moon, which is when the moon begins to grow, and with the season of spring and the element of wood. And it's because it's not the pinnacle, it's not the new moon, it's not the full moon, it's not summer, but there's a growing upwards. And there's something to be said too about if we look to the forest in the spring, it's not winter and then summer. I mean, we're getting faster there because our seasons are becoming a little bit more drastic, but there is this transition time, and that time's super crucial for the forest because it's actually when the understory, the plants underneath the trees, receive their light before the canopy is formed. And so it's actually really crucial for the health of the forest, which science is showing is more of an organism rather than organisms within a forest. The forest itself is a consciousness.
That's really interesting. I never hear about that.
Yes, it's so cool. And so the organism of the forest is knowing that, okay, before the trees, before the biggest and the most broad can express themselves. Like we have to tend to these quieter parts of ourselves. So that's spring. And so it's really gorgeous to start planning and acting, but like also taking the time to rest and come back to the breath, to the
Exactly.
body, to the heart, to the soul, and that initial calling.
That is so beautiful.
And then ovulation is correlated with summer and the full
Okay.
moon. And right now we're in the midst of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So, but at this time of extended light, social engagement, staying up later, more
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and just heat in general, that fertility. But also noticing at the same time, it's summer. Well, and I know over in Europe, like in the heat, like in Croatia, everything's shut down for the heat of the day, and
Oh.
it's this once again this beautiful flow. And I know they're doing it in Spain. I think it's called I shouldn't say because I don't know the correct term, but it's when people actually the business is closed during the heat of the
Well,
day
yes, that's
and
true.
go
In Spain,
inside. Okay,
well, in part of
yeah,
Europe, that happened a lot because of the heat. So a lot of things close like pretty early, and people like spend more time out, like with their family, with their friends.
okay. So that
Yes, yeah,
um,
that happened in Spain a lot too.
so gorgeous. And it's this reflection, even in the heat, the pinnacle of summer, like to take time to
Mm-hmm.
just exhale. And actually, if we overexert ourselves in summer during ovulation, if we save everything for that 12 to 24 hours, we're going to burn out real fast.
Yes.
The whole entire time, it's like moving towards the doing, towards the higher energy, but still staying rooted in the rest and reception of the heart
Mm.
and the soul. So, summer ovulation is correlated with the season of summer, the element of fire, and the full moon. So light, heat, mobility. And then headed back into winter, we have the luteal phase, which is correlated with the season of autumn and the element of stone. And that's this idea of the death, the decay,
Mm.
the beginning of falling away from all that productivity and shifting
Yeah.
back into the darkness and beginning to shed the leaves.
Oh,
And with those
okay.
leaves, when the everything all the lessons perhaps
Mm-hmm.
learned over the course of the previous cycle begin to fall away and fall back down to our roots because we're coming back. The energy
Yes.
is descending back into the roots. Like everything we accomplished, everything we learned, the triumphs, the points of perhaps growth that we learned, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just all for naught. It is invited then to fall, so we don't have to keep carrying it with us. But then leaves are what provide insulation and nutrients for the roots of trees.
Exactly.
So
That is. This is so amazing. Like I wish like a we as a woman we can get all this education early in the age because
right?
if we have this education, we cannot like see this so negative, and we will be
Mm-hmm.
embracing and be more positive. Even like maybe women who are like in irregular cycles can help to like
Mm-hmm.
correct or balance their cycle by just become more self-aware. Is that something that can be correct and imbalanced cycle by the self-awareness and just tracking this a little bit better?
I would say so. I mean, of course, there's
Yeah, many
programs
different
we can
things.
do with nutrients, understanding how all our systems tie together. So, like our gut
Mm-hmm.
health, our nervous system health, our endocrine health, our heart health, our emotional
Yeah.
health, it all goes into each other. So, of course, to bring ourselves back into balance, it's going to be the bit of the mind, body, spirit, the holistic
Yes.
approach. But I will say, just tracking our cycle and taking note of where we are and even allowing ourselves more space for the times that we feel a little bit more tired can go such a long way, especially if we're pairing that rest and a little space to respond to our lower energy with, this is a huge passion of mine,
Mm-hmm.
not using excess light.
Okay.
Because then we're allowing our circadian rhythm and cortisol and melatonin
Mm.
all relate back to the health of the endocrine system, to the
Mm-hmm.
female cycle. So honoring the circadian rhythm, the rhythm of the sun, as much as we can,
Mm.
especially during our luteal phase, menstrual phase, just that little tweak, that little bit of awareness can go such a long way in balancing our endocrine system as a whole.
That's so important that you say that. And now, Kelly, because we talk here about like the importance of like tracking our menstrual cycle, the different emotions and everything. Is there anything that you can recommend to us? Like, how do you track, or is there an app where people can use? Because I just start like by, first putting all the things on my like thoughts on my mind, and now I'm trying to write down. But is there something easy that people can start using to track in their menstrual cycle?
For sure. Yes. So there is an app called Natural Cycles out there. I know definitely a few of my friends definitely use that one. I would say I use that in tandem with like track and circle mucus, or even just the more you do it. So I've been tracking my cycle for like 6 years now. You even just the subtle changes in your body, you can likely know where you are. But Natural Cycles is a great training wheel because it goes based off your temperature. So essentially, after you ovulate, your temperature spikes. And that's because the hormone progesterone increases metabolic rate. And the hormone progesterone is responsible for the health of the womb after ovulation, or the womb when there might be potential life in there. So if you want to think about, our body wants the womb to be warm and toasty and a warm place to grow life. So our body temperature actually rises. So what Natural Cycles does is it tracks your temperature, and then once it sees a spike in temperature by a significant amount for a couple of days in a row, and you keep taking it, then it'll give you what you call green days, or telling you like, okay, you've ovulated, now you're in your luteal phase. So it's also based on algorithms, so it's pretty accurate in case of in sense of like reliability. The biggest thing is like just making sure you take your temperature the same place right when we wake up. And if that feels like too much, that consistency, there's a ring out there, and I don't know the name of the ring, but I know many people who have it now, and it will track your temperature along with just basic like heart rate, sleep, like the basic things that people like to know about their health in general.
I will put all those names in the description of the podcast. And also, I think like journaling. For me, journaling has been really helpful because especially tracking the emotional part. That has been helping me to track like how I feel energy-wise, emotion-wise, and then compare that, and just now like take my time. Like, I know when this phase is coming, I'm going to take my time for this. I know when this is coming, I'm going to start taking action. So I think like journaling is pretty good too. Yes. Kelly, tell us for what final advice you can give to us and the listeners for creating a better balance regarding our, like, and the harmony inside of like hormones, the menstrual cycle, and to start changing that perception of like I don't want my menstrual cycle too. I want to embrace it. I want to like, when I have it, I want to like just hug it and be okay with that. What is your final advice?
Okay, for that, I would say create rituals for your menstrual cycle, even if it just means I have zero obligations. So most of us bleed more than a day. So even if there's one day out of 5 or one day out of 3 that is just all yours. So make it a uncompromisable Sabbath. And I think weekly Sabbaths are essential for well-balanced living, decrease anxiety, and just connect us with Earth, with God, with loved ones. But to know that when my menstrual cycle comes, I have it on my calendar. I have like giant arrows being like bleed. So I know not even to plan anything for that time, and that time is mine and mine alone. Exactly. And if I'm feeling high energy and like my bleed came last week and like I really want to see my family, like some days I just want to be in the garden in the forest alone. And I was like, no, I really want to be with my family. And even just instead of being like, oh no, I should be alone right now, I was like, that's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to do. Like just whatever.
Just follow your intuition. Just follow that intuition and what your body. That's why it's important. Connecting with your body, because it's the best way that is really communicating the message inside out. So I love this. I love this topic, and seriously, since I start getting to know more about this, it's just like I'm super excited even when I get my periods. Like I'm bleeding, okay, I'm just respecting that. And it's funny because you say there is so many things, that products that we use. I'm going to say this, maybe it might sound disgusting or not. Well, that's the idea. We're just talking here freely. I used to wear a tampon. Like I was like now I just like I don't wear tampons anymore. I just let it just, not like, I don't go like maybe use because I don't have a garden, but I just use pad. I just don't want nothing like get stuck there inside me. I just want to like let it go freely.
Yes.
And even since I started doing that, I noticed that my migraines has been going less because I was every single month having migraine. But I feel like that changed a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said even about honoring the movement within us. So winter is a very downward descent energy. This down into the soil, down into the darkness, down into our roots. And our body wants to let the blood run out. Like it's a physical, energetic shedding from the body, both physically of the womb, but also energetically of perhaps something you felt during our premenstrual cycle, during our luteal phase of like, so during the luteal phase, the amygdala, the intuition center of the brain in women is heightened. It's actually larger in volume. So we're likely going to be feeling inventory where we are in our personal life, our relationships, our goals, our dreams, our connection with God, like where we're feeling good. And to then be able to physically release from our body with our blood those things that we're being asked to release, so that we can be rebirthed into higher, like closer energy with God. I don't like to say high energy because it's nothing we can't just like sustain there, but closer to God and closer to trusting and closer to surrendering. And of course, that's always going to be a constant journey. Exactly. But when we physically allow that blood to go down and out, we, especially if we pair it with that intention of, okay, I'm on a release. What I'm being called to release, it can just be a huge ritual that shifts everything for the birth of the new cycle.
Exactly. It's like creating your own ritual, creating your own time with yourself. Like this is my time, and then I'm just getting to know who I am better. And that's the beauty of this. Now, Kellie, where people can find you, or if they want to get to know more about this, what you do, your work, because I know you do different, like a lot of things, and you start doing the workshops and classes, where people can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So I love to connect with people on Instagram. Instagram is a place where I love to share tips or just my own story, getting deeper into the ways that the menstrual cycle can guide us in our lives and the gifts that come from that. Relational intimacy is a big one on there too. So my Instagram is at Stewarding Connections. So stewarding, like being a steward, ING, and then connections. I didn't know what that meant when I made it, and now I'm like, it's because it's all about connection to body, earth, and God. So
there's always a purpose, but I'm gonna put all the description of that information and also the app that you sang on the podcast, so people can just connect with you, and if they have more questions, they can reach out to you. Kellie, I really appreciate and thank you so much for like accepting the invitation and
thank you.
Talking about this, because your experience has been changing your life and also can change the life of many other women. And thank you for bringing that knowledge into this podcast. I hope it's not the last one, and maybe at some point we can do a live in Instagram and continue sharing this. And once again, everybody, thank you for being part of Vida Consciente and this community that is all about self-awareness. Start connecting with your mind, with your body, and transforming from the inside out. So, Kellie, once again, thank you, and I will stay in touch. And everybody, I'll see you until the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Ciao. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. I'll see you until next time. Ciao, ciao.